Flosstube. My name is Becca and I'm SamBrie Stitches here on YouTube and other social media platforms. Welcome to the May 2023 edition of Interview with a Flosstuber. And this one's extra special because it's my 100th episode of Interview with a Flosstuber. So it's very cool. And I'm very, very excited to have a couple of the amazing ladies behind Primrose Cottage Quilts and Stitches. I thought that this would be an awesome 100th episode because I'm a huge fan of theirs. They're super talented. I loved also that it's like their whole brand is family based and it's just so cool. I kind of wish that my sister stitches, but maybe I'll pull her in too. You guys are an inspiration from quilting goodies all the way to their adorable patterns. They're full of enabling and inspiration and creativity and just cheerfulness when you watch them on their channel and stuff too. It just brings a smile to your face. They're so much fun. If you're not familiar, which I'm sure everybody already is, but there will be links down below so you can go check them out, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. So before we jump into the questions, I was just wondering if you would mind telling us a little bit about yourselves, a little bit about Primrose, and then we'll get going from there.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having us. I'm super excited to be your 100th interview. I think that's really exciting. Go you, first of all.
Yeah.
So I am Lindsay. Our business, Primrose Cottage, like you said, we are a family business. Everybody has a part. There are 4 daughters, our mom as well. And my mom and we actually started the business some time ago in the basement of my house with just quilting patterns. And, it wasn't anything crazy at the time. I've always loved creating. I've always loved sharing my creativity. And then it just seemed one thing led to another. And sometimes I just pinch myself because I'm like, how did we go from the basement of my house to here? It's really wild, but it's very humbling. And honestly, I just feel very blessed that I have the opportunity to share what I love with the world. So,
Yes, I'm Emily. So, I started working for Lindsay and my mom in 2020 when the pandemic started. I was doing hair. I did hair for 10 years. I was burnt out and they're like, come move down and start working. And I was like, okay. And then shortly after that, because we only did quilting, we dipped our toes into the cross stitch and it's just bloomed into this like amazing thing. And yes, and thank you for doing the interview. I'm so excited that we're your 100th. That is such an awesome milestone. So congratulations.
Well, thank you both for joining. I'm the excited one for sure. Yeah, that's really cool. Just started in the basement and now y'all are huge. It's crazy. That's so cool. Wow. All right, well, let's jump into the questions. The first one is, why did y'all start a Flosstube and were there any particular motivations?
So it's funny because I remember 2019, I think, is when I kind of got the itch to stitch. I remember looking at my mom. We were both sitting on the couch and I said, Mom, I want to, I've cross-stitched in the past when I was young, but it never was anything that stuck with me. And she looked at me and was like, Lindsay, is this another hobby? And I'm like, like, I don't know why I feel called to start doing this, but it just seems like something that my heart will love. And then I discovered Flosstube and I was like, this is incredible. The community, the love, the connection, the building each other up and sharing the love of what we do with one another without expectation, right? It's without expectation. It's doing it because you love it. It's doing it to share the love. And I was like, okay, we're going to start doing a floss tube when I'm scared to even look back at our very first one,
Yeah.
to be honest, because I'm like, just growth, but it's exciting too, because you see where you started and you see where you are now, and you just see like there's always room for improvement. But really, I just wanted to connect with other people, like-minded creatives like ourselves, and I felt like I had something to share with the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't really remember I don't know who was like, let's do a floss tube. I don't remember who initiated that out of the three of us, mom, me, and you. But I remember it was very like just this fun new thing. There was, like no expectations for sure. It was just like, let's just try it. Why not? We might have one view, like, and it's just blossomed, like I said. And I don't know what like motivated us to do that, but I'm so happy with where it's come and become for us, because it does fill our bucket just as much as it like fills other people's, because I look forward to it. So
yeah. Yeah, Flosstube, I think all of us don't want to look back at our first couple of videos.
right.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's cool to see how you've grown as an individual, and seeing my mom and sister and like how they've grown, and it's fun to kind of look back and see that and where we were and where we are now.
Yeah, well, because it's a documentation of the past few years, which is the cool thing. And other interviews I've done, they've said it's kind of like their legacy on YouTube, for their grandkids and their great grandkids to be able to go and hear and see them when we're no longer. So it's a really neat thing.
Yeah. She's like gonna probably just lay there
whole show now.
I agree with that. Like the legacy, it's like a way of journaling.
Yeah.
It's a way of journaling.
It's like blogging your cross stitch. It's a way to like track and see what you've worked on. And so
also, I don't know about everyone else, but when I'm working on a specific piece, whether it's designing or actually cross stitching, I have memories associated with the piece. And looking back, because like when we do our floss tubes, we like to give life updates, like what's going on, where we're at. And so like to see that aspect too is really exciting, because then you like the memories start coming up. Oh, this piece, I was doing this and I was thinking about this. And I associate every piece I do with memory, like a memory with that time. And it's just a really awesome way to look back at that.
Yeah, I love that. I do the same. I've only been designing for a little over a year, but those have memories attached, but just the personal pieces as well that you share, that you're stitching along, and every single one of them, I think for a lot of people, have some sort of memory attached. So it's really neat to be able to go back and see that for sure. So yeah. So how did y'all come up with your, I guess, channel name, your name in general, basically?
I would say like I wish I had this like amazing story to tell, but really when my mom and I started the business in the basement, the house that I was living in, I wanted a cottage garden. I love flowers. I love everything about wildflowers. I'm obsessed with flowers. I love learning about flowers. And our goal, we had a white picket fence. It was like a total cottage garden. And the primrose, I just was really drawn to that flower. And I just put the two together, and that's what was born. And it's funny because, we started Primrose Cottage Quilts, but, our brand is Primrose Cottage, anything creative that we want to share. So
well, it has a meaning behind it. So, still a story behind it. So that's pretty neat. I love that it has some sentimentality to it too. So
sorry.
All right. So where do y'all get your design influence from?
So for me, I am influenced by everything. Like the creative in me, I am seeing patterns and sequences and like all of these things all the time, and especially when I'm in nature.
Yeah.
Especially when we're on a vacation or a trip, and it's I keep a journal with me all the time now, and I generally start designing right from my head to the computer, but I'm trying to be more mindful of when something catches my eye to write it down, because, you know, it caught my eye for a reason. But really, inspiration comes from so many places, and it comes from other designers.
Yeah.
Other designers inspire me. I have several that I'm like, I want to be them when I grow up. I'm like,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
And I think Flosstube is really a platform for inspiration. And we can all use this platform to be inspired in whatever way that calls us. And I just so happen to just feel very inspired by the beauty that surrounds me every day. Really is where I pull inspiration from. So
yeah. I've only designed one thing, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I prefer to help Lindsay. Like I actually help her a lot with colors. We always kit together her charts. We're always bouncing ideas off of each other. She's always asking about our input and what we think to move an element around on a stitch during her, like, the computer part of it. I've sample stitched for her a few times, and I think for me, I just love color. I love color theory. I draw inspiration from fabric as well. Like we started with fabric, and the designers of fabric and inspire me, and I'm like, oh, this would be a beautiful color palette, or like it almost gets me excited when we look at our fabric, and then I'm like, oh, we should do the same thing for cross stitch. Like, so I'm just like, I love looking at fabric because of all the colors and designs and the designers, and same with the cross stitch designers. When you go to retreats or shows like Nashville needlework, it's like you leave so inspired. And I think too, also the customer, like they definitely tell you what they want, and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And so it's fun to kind of like let Lindsay know, like, hey, this is what they kind of want. Like, why not give them what they want, kind of like.
Yeah.
And she's so good about like if we give her an idea, she translates it very beautifully. And I love, and Katie too, like Katie designs as well, and we do the same thing for her. Like we all have a hand in everything we produce, whether it's the cloth, the stitch, the floss, the presentation, the finishing. We all like put a hand and our heart into those things.
Yes, for sure. And everything we do is with purpose and intent. So when talking about color, that's what feeds my soul too. Like Emily,
I love color.
And just how impactful color can be using the right way, and also scale and playing with scale and understanding design element and space and negative space. And honestly, it just is so humbling to see where I started and where I am now. And the fact is, there is no ceiling of what we can do. We place the ceilings on ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we remove that ceiling, anything is possible. Anything can be created. Like I get the chills, like anything can be created. And what inspires us is truly I feel divinely guided, because why is that inspiring me? Well, it must be inspiring me for a reason, and I need to share that. So that's really what truly makes my heart happy, is that we each have a part. And like Emily said, we each put a little of ourselves in every single piece we produce.
Yeah.
And we produce it with love and intent. And that's, I want, when somebody picks up a pattern of ours, I want them to feel that intent, to feel the love, to feel how much went into that piece. And literally, if we could show the amount of man hours that goes into every, it would blow your mind.
Yeah.
And but it's so, we just take so much.
It fills us though. It fills our cup for sure.
It does. And well, I don't think we would be doing this or be successful at what we were doing if it didn't fill our cup.
Yeah.
Because that's what we put out there. So if that makes sense.
Does, and that's actually inspiring to me too. I just find it amazing, and you're so blessed to be able to have your family be a part of it, and everybody touches that piece. And honestly, I didn't realize it. I don't think a whole lot of other people are going to know about it until they watch this, that everybody has a part in your piece, and that makes it even more special. Like I said, I'm newer, so like my sister stitches and she lives 4 hours from me, but I'll send her like a picture of, because I do the same thing. I'll just go from my mind to the computer, and that's challenging. But I'll send it to her and I'll be like, what do you think? At least it's always nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, willing to have the input in that kind of stuff. So that's awesome.
What's important is, it's so important to bounce things off of one another, because 2, 3, 4 heads are always better than one.
Yeah.
It's true. Emily is so good with color, and she'll see something, and maybe Katie is really good with like balance and
finishing. She's really good at finishing.
And it's like, and then Mom, she does a lot of the actual stitching for us. And it's even that tiny detail of the actual stitching, and making sure love is being put into it as you're stitching. Like it starts at the very beginning, and it goes, even the photography of the piece, which is one of my favorite things to do, is the actual photographing everything and making it shine. Basically.
Love that. So much love, so much thought and time put into your designs. It's incredible. It shows, but still incredible to hear it from y'all. So cool. So how did y'all learn to stitch, and how long have you been stitching?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I probably can. Mom taught us all how to and we all learned at different times in our life. We all cross-stitched when we were kids, I think. Emily, did you?
I a little, but definitely learned anything crafty from our mom.
And
I
just was a wealth of information when it came to, she's very intuitive when it comes to creating with her hands.
Using her hands,
She is so intuitive and just knows how to do things without almost learning it. She just knows.
So I think only my first full finish cross stitch was in 2020. So I don't think I had ever like finished a cross stitch before then, but I've done tons of different things. So we've always been crafty.
Yeah, we've always had a love of creating, of making. I know I've done different presentations, and I usually start with, we are a family of makers. Our lineage.
Oh, for sure.
Maker after maker after maker. And they're not all the same type of makers, but if you really think about it, everyone at their core is a maker. It's just what art, craft feeds your soul. And when you find that, it's like magic, you guys.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
I love that. Everybody at their core is a maker of something. They just discover it. That's powerful. Wow.
Write that down. Take a little note.
I've been taking notes. I'm like family of makers.
Yeah, that actually should be a design of yours because that's a really good quote. Love it. So do y'all have like a favorite project that you've stitched or designed and created all together?
Oh,
yeah, I know it's a tough question.
That is so hard, but honestly, the first project that comes to mind is the one that's in our lives, like at the forefront right now, which is the North Pole. We have all had so many man hours into this project. And, you know, sometimes when there's a project that is this massive, everyone feels it, whether it's the stress of it, but also the beauty of it. And it's like, it's almost like those projects that cause the most stress are the most beautiful too. Like every single person in my family has had a hand in the North Pole, which I have it right here. Let me grab it.
Oh yeah, that one's awesome.
So everyone had a hand in this project and it shows. I could not have done, I had a lot of insecurity about this project for some reason, but my family was always like my biggest cheerleader, like, this is everything. And the fact that we are our biggest cheerleaders for each other, it really helps us grow even further. And so right now I think it's this one that we have all kind of just put so much into, but I think it really just changed every project we do. Like there's so much meaning behind it. And so right now, that one's in the forefront of my brain.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's incredible.
Actually, mine's ABC. I could not put that down. I sample stitched it. It was a Nashville release, and not this year, but the last. I fully finished it. I stitched it. I couldn't put it down. I love Lindsay's bee charts. I had done all of them. My house is decorated with them. I don't know why that one was very satisfying to stitch. It was fun. I love the finish I did on it. It was definitely something I was very proud of because it was like born of my sister. And then I made it come to life by stitching and finishing it. And it did awesome at Nashville. It still does awesome. All of her bee charts, I've done all of them. I love them so much. Like they're just, the colors are beautiful. I love the color palette. I have had fun stitching all of them. I don't know why, there's just something about those charts, all of her bee series ones, that have brought a lot of joy. And that is literally what my house is decorated in most of the year. So that's probably what my favorite is ABC.
Love it. Yeah, the bee charts are awesome. All your charts are awesome. I know right now the bee charts are everywhere of yours. Yeah. Like everybody's stitching them. I think there's a Sal going on.
Oh yeah. Bee Sal, bee charts, everything.
Yeah, there's bees everywhere right now. Most of them are designs too. It's pretty cool. So what do you all enjoy most about stitching?
What do we all enjoy? I personally enjoy the calmness it brings. It's almost like very centering for me. It's very grounding. It's very, because we live in a world that's so fast paced and we're like always on our phone and our social media. But when you're stitching, you're literally having to slow your brain down, right?
Yes.
Grounding yourself, and I don't know about everyone else, but I am literally thinking about every stitch, and it's for some reason, it just calms my mind in a way that literally the only other thing I have found that calms my mind in the same way is quilting. But even to a different degree, because with cross stitch, you can take that anywhere. You can create this just calmness anywhere you go. If you grab your cross stitch and you start stitching, it's like an immediate I can't even explain it. I just love the peace that it brings me.
I agree. I get really anxious. So like you said, it slows down my brain and you're in the moment. You're in the moment and I don't have to think about anything else but what my hands are doing. It's definitely just really satisfying to create something out of
nothing,
like thread and needle and cloth. I
refer to it as painting with floss, basically.
Yes.
It turns into this beautiful piece. Yeah. No, I get it. I take my stitching everywhere. I'm not an in-hand stitcher, so I have my Q-snap, my whole setup.
It's like a production to get me to.
I take it to oil changes because I go to the dealership. They're usually a couple hours, even if it's an oil change, sitting there. But the cool thing is taking it different places, it strikes up conversations. I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, there'll be just an older gentleman or an older lady in the waiting area, and they'll, oh, what are you working on? And then there you go. It's the coolest thing because it brings so many people together without intentionally doing it. So it's portable and it also brings everybody together. So I love it.
Yes, me too.
So I'm curious, I know you've kind of alluded to this with the amount of time and hands that go into this, but what's the approximate time frame and process from your initial vision from the design to kind of the final product being released?
I wish I had a straight answer, but literally, so the North Pole, I started designing that
You started it exactly after Nashville. So it's been over a year.
Oh, wow.
A year.
Piece that I just got out that has not been seen by anyone that was stitched over a year ago that has not been released. And I'm working up the courage to release this one.
It's so cute.
But so on the complete opposite side of that, last week I was like, okay, I'm ready to design something because I have been I've had a creative block, and I have found with the amount of pressure to create, I was putting so much pressure on myself. But when I realized, okay, I just need to release the pressure and just create out of authenticity, out of love. I sat in my computer. I did a design in 2 hours. I didn't make any changes. I sent it to the model stitcher. It is already coming back. This piece was literally
a week.
Less than a week. And I can tell you right now, it will be one of our best sellers. And I just know that. And it just came together so seamlessly. And when that happens, it's you just have to just embrace it because it doesn't always happen that way. Like the North Pole, it was a constant back and forth because it is such a massive piece and there was so many elements in it. And so it's literally both ends of the spectrum, a year, sometimes 2 years to a week.
That's crazy. I understand the creative block type of thing. I'm still very, very new and trying to, I think it's stressful. It's stressful to try to figure out, kind of what to design because I kind of base it off of my family, my heritage, and then I reproduce. But trying to figure, I don't know. I get it, the creative block and the process. It's a tricky question because there's really not a straight answer. No designers have a straight answer.
Yeah.
Because of the process and the amount of time and stuff it takes. But
Because you have to wait for like inspiration to strike almost.
Yeah.
You can't force it.
Exactly. And I find the more I try and force something, I am not happy with how it turns out.
Yeah.
And so I do is like when I'm designing and I start designing a piece and I get stuck, I literally put it away. It could be days, weeks, months. There's a piece that I just opened yesterday and I'm like, oh, I think I'm ready to get back to this piece. I designed it over a year ago. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to get back into this piece and really make it come to life. And it just creating in authenticity.
Yeah.
Without expectation, because the minute we put this expectation of what other people want to see, then our creative mind gets
like blocks it.
Yeah,
it will block it.
Yep.
Yes. And so releasing the expectation and embracing the inspiration of why you started, why you're creating, why you're making, will recenter you and ground you to why you're doing this, and the inspiration will flow. And the reason we call it flow is because it's like water. Water is the path of least resistance, right? When we're trying to put these boxes around ourselves and all these expectations, it becomes there's a block, there's no flow.
Yeah.
And so I am learning so much about that. And even as your viewers, when they're creating, when they're cross stitching, it's the same thing to apply to that. When you're not feeling inspired or you're feeling blocked or something, that, because I even feel blocked just actually stitching, but letting go of the expectation and just enjoying the process.
Think I needed to hear that. I'm so glad that we did this interview, because I actually have taken a little bit of a break from recording because I think I've put too much expectation on myself and I felt overwhelmed and I had other stuff going on and I just felt like I was being boxed in and like questioning what I was doing. And what you just said, like, I think I needed to hear that. So thank you. Hopefully other people needed to hear that too. But I think that really spoke to me because I've been feeling really just, so thank you for that. That makes me feel better.
I can do you feeling that. Think about how many people actually feel that. Every single person feels that in SamBrie. And we can't truly enjoy what we're doing if we're not doing it with authenticity and without expectation.
Yeah. I like the without expectation, because I think that's the problem, at least for me and probably for other people, is because, you set those, like, I had a mindset for Nashville and I did good in Nashville, but I had this thing and I was like, okay, well, I didn't reach what I had. So that kind of bummed me out. And I think the expectation needs to go away. And I just need to, keep going and doing what I enjoy doing without that. So I needed to hear that. Hear that, because I was at a wall in front of me. So this was meant to be. Thank you. That helps immensely for me. So
that's awesome. Well, I think too, like you put like the expectation on yourself harder and more than other people. And also knowing that your journey might not look the same as our journey, or my journey won't look the same as far as like even stitching. I don't want to ever feel this pressure that I need to stitch something because someone else is stitching it. I want to stitch it because my heart chose that piece. It brought me joy, not because everyone else on Flosstube is stitching it, which I love joining in on that stuff. It makes it fun in a community, but also not this like keeping up with the Jones, almost like making it feel like I'm stitching this because it brought me joy. It spoke to me and I love it. And hopefully me sharing that makes you love it, because I'm showing my love for it, if that makes sense. Like,
it does.
I think for a while I was like, oh, I have to stitch all these things. And I finally just let that go. I was like, it's okay. Like, I'm going to stitch at my pace, my time, and I'm going to do it because I love it. And I think that's something to keep in mind when you are watching Flosstube. Like, I watch it to see that you're stitching and enjoy your journey, to watch another Flosstuber's journey. And I hope they can feel the same way that I love that they're joining in and seeing my journey as well and sharing that together.
I love that.
And I love that because comparison is literally the thief of joy.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When we compare our journey to your journey, to your journey, to their journey, to their journey, we feel less than.
Yeah.
So be true to your journey, what your heart is saying to you, what you want to create, what you want to stitch, what you want to design, what you want to make. And when you leave the comparison back there at the door, it's like a firework inside, right?
Yeah.
You brought tears to my eyes.
Aww.
Love it. Ooh.
It's so fun. I love it.
I've had chills this whole
time. We brought you to Flosstube Church. It's all good.
You didn't realize you were getting a Flosstube therapy today.
Supposed to be interviewing you guys and you're helping me.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's what this community is about.
Yeah.
If you are truly authentic and you truly love your craft and you truly love inspiring others, which the fact that you're doing this and you are interviewing us and you are bringing forth this message.
Yeah.
You are bringing forth a message that so many people want to hear, that need to hear. And you have a part in that. And just like you have a part in it, so does the next Flosstuber who is sharing their journey. It's a ripple effect. And I have this saying that I came up with: be the rock that starts the ripple.
Yeah.
Be the spark that starts the fire. You're doing that, my friend.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. No more tears.
It's not a Flosstube without tears for us.
I almost in every Flosstube.
I know, I'm like, I hope people don't care that we cry like every Flosstube, but I think it just, you can't help but feel it sometimes, and it's okay.
And I feel like society, we're told not to be vulnerable. We're told we got to just show this like hard face of do. And I even get stuck in that mindset. And I was feeling very vulnerable our last Flosstube because I have had a mental and creative block. And I'm like, okay, I just need to be upfront with everyone. Like, this is what I'm going through. And I'm so glad I did. I have got so many messages like, thank you for sharing that, because I get after myself for not creating or not wanting to cross stitch, but it's okay. It's okay. Just do what feels right in here.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I love watching the channels where you're true to who you are. Like I try to share my personal stuff in my videos, and I cry and I do all that, and I'm kind of drawn to that. And I love that you're honest in your videos and you're upfront and you give life updates and, and you tell it how it is. And, I think people appreciate that too, because it makes you more like real and more relatable. Yeah. So no, I love that.
I don't want people to think we're all deserve the amount of success, love, compassion, grace. We all deserve that. And it's so hard to give it to ourselves. And we show that we can give it to ourselves, then we are causing the ripple effect for others to be able to feel safe in that space.
Yeah.
So inspiring. And I hope that this helps many other people too, and it moves them, because that's very inspiring. Whew, okay. So we're gonna get out of Stitchy Talk a little bit and kind of learn a little bit more about y'all. So the next one is like, what's your favorite genre of book or movie?
You go first.
Oh, okay. I love reading. I've always been a bookworm. I think in junior high, I was like the library's TA. I was always had my nose in a book. I've always loved fantasy. I love fantasy. I mean, Harry Potter, Aragon, that's kind of the books I grew up with, is those type. And then now it's more of the adult fantasy. So fantasy, romance. And then I do love a good self-help. I've read a lot of self-help books or motivation or spiritual type of books.
Love that.
For me, I'm very similar as far as Emily. I've loved reading my whole life. And right now, I don't watch TV at all. And I think it's because I truly get so much more out of reading or listening to a book. And my focus has been on self-love. So any book that is going to help me on my self-love journey, motivation. Also, I love learning informational books.
Me too.
Eat that up. Like I'm like a sponge to knowledge. And so I love just learning, period. So that's what draws me to reading.
So do either of you have a fictional place that you most like to go to?
Heck yes, I do.
Well,
I would say it's a toss-up between Harry Potter or Sarah J. Maas worlds. Like, she's an author, and I would give anything to be in the night court. That's what it's called. And like live in that world would be amazing and have magic. Like, I would want to live somewhere that I had magic and magic was around.
I don't know about fictional, but where I find that I love the most is being at the ocean. Mm-hmm. I have this deep love of anything water, lakes, ocean. It just really calms, gives me a peace and serenity. But yes, the Harry Potter, my family, we are Harry Potter
obsessed
fans. All of my oldest daughter,
that's her life.
she collects everything like that. And it's just so much fun. And it's just a fun way to kind of leave reality behind, right?
Yeah.
And actually, Harry Potter is very huge in the stitching community. For all of the interviews that I've done, Harry Potter is probably, I would say, 80 to 85% of the answer to the question. Like, it's crazy how much this community has in common other than stitching for that. And I'm also a beach person or an outdoors person. My husband and I go on adventures every other week on his Monday off, and the beach is our getaway, or we go into the mountains to find waterfalls and that kind of stuff. So it's like our little, I don't think there's a fictional place. I think I would most like just to be in the outdoors.
Me. Love it.
So if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would it be?
Nothing.
Relax and just
it would be just literally no appointments, like I could just take all the hats off that I wear and just at the ocean.
I would want to do very similar, but almost like an eat, pray, love type of deal. Like, I love seeing new places.
Me too.
And I feel like her thing, it's like saying yes, like almost like ask the universe and be like, okay, what are you going to tell me to do today? And always answer with a yes and see where that path leads me. Like, I totally would love to have an adventure like that where no plan, but see what presents itself to me and I follow it and see where it takes me. I don't know how else to explain that.
Actually, it would be really cool. Just no plan and just whatever is calling.
Or like pick a location. Like, I would love to go to Greece or Italy or something and just be like, hey, where am I going to end up today? Like,
just no plan, basically.
One day.
Yes to
Yeah.
yes to life. And that's one thing that I have really thought a lot about the last few months is experiences.
Yeah.
And I have found that we get into this mindset of doing the same thing every day, all the time, seeing the same people, seeing the same places, seeing the same things. When that happens, what kind of change is happening? There is, right? And so it is so important for us to experience life, whether that's going out to a really nice restaurant with a friend and just being in the experience, and just truly, when we are experiencing, actually experience it. Don't be on your phone trying to look at things. When actually lately when I go on a trip, I don't like to like research what I'm doing. I want to experience it as I'm experiencing it, because what surprises do we have left in life?
Yeah.
Good point. Very good point. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Be in the moment, basically. I love that. So, do you have any other hobbies besides like the quilting and the cross stitch and the designing part? Do you have time for any other hobbies?
I would do everything if I could. I've had a ton of hobbies throughout my life, but one thing that keeps coming back to me that is not a hobby I have right now, but I want to learn, is pottery. I keep coming back to this, like, I just want to take some classes and I want to get my hands dirty and I want to create pottery of, I don't even know what. And so that's on my bucket list. And we actually have a place here in town.
We have two, I think.
Does pottery classes. And it goes with the thing of it's okay to try new things and hobbies, because you never know what is going to spark the fire. So I had no idea cross stitching was going to, like, it was like this spark that started this like massive explosion for us. And so I kept telling myself, oh, I don't need another hobby. I don't need another hobby. Yes, you do need another hobby. You just don't know it yet.
That's funny.
And it's okay. It's okay. Like, you know, your life path will bring in those hobbies that you're meant to do.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I've always liked the outdoors. I've always been a hiker, kayak, paddleboarding. Like, I worked at lakes growing up. We had a lot of lakes around us growing up. So I love being outside, by water too. I don't know. What do I like? That's like the biggest thing I can think of, is being outside and hiking. I would love, my goal, I keep telling Lindsay, I've been saying this for like 3 years. I want to do rim to rim really bad. It's from in the Grand Canyon. You drop in one end and come out the other. That is like huge bucket list for me. And I'm like, I need to just start training for it, because I've been talking about it for, no joke, like 5 years. And
Yep.
so I like to challenge myself. I don't know. And
I think it's healthy when we are challenging ourselves, because it goes back to doing the same thing over and over and over. That growth. You can't grow through comfort. There's going to be discomfort as you grow. If you're always comfortable, whether you're designing, whether anything you're doing in your life, if you're too comfortable, there's no growth happening. I'm sorry. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to expand. You're supposed to experience.
Well, I have a suggestion for you to expand into like a life coach.
Right? Well, it's funny because I'm like, Lindsay, she is very inspiring, and it like feeds our soul for sure to help others. And I feel like we've always been like that. I've always known that that's part of our purpose. My whole life, I've known that's part of our purpose as a family.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing. Y'all, I mean, I've really only talked to you two, during this interview, but if the rest of your family is anything like the two of you, if anybody has any problems or needs inspiration, man, go to Primrose.
We give each other daily coaches. Like, we gotta take each other off the wall sometimes.
That's awesome.
Off the ledge, several times a week.
Every day. No, but one thing that just reminded me is every morning I'm trying to journal more. It's crazy. I always thought it was like kind of like, oh, I don't need to journal. But when you write things down, you release them.
Yeah.
And also sharing them with others. You don't know who needs to hear there's a message in this video that every single person that watches this will need to hear.
Yeah.
And it's just being that vessel of sharing. And it feeds our soul, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing. Well, I'm going to continue on the emotional fun. So the next question, I'm going to throw you all a little bit of a curveball, just because it's been such a emotional love fest, basically, through the whole interview. So the next question is, how would your friends describe you? But instead, how would you describe each other?
Ooh,
that's hard. The pressure.
Just because when the tears start flowing, who knows?
I would describe Emily is my best friend. And she has taught me to be a free spirit.
Aww.
She holds this like nothing is for certain, right? It's like just be free within yourself. And if I had to describe her, it would be living freely, living out of the box, living just flying almost. And every person in my family, we are all best friends in different ways. And Emily and I, we've always had we grew up with each other a lot more than our older sisters because there's such an age difference. And so, but each one in our family, I think we have a special relationship that helps literally all of us become more well-rounded and more balanced because we all are so different. But that's why we work, right?
Yes. The pressure. No, Lindsay's definitely my best friend. I feel like I only have a handful of people like that, and Lindsay's definitely been the person. She has always let me be myself, and I feel like you do that for everyone. You love without condition, or you don't put expectation on others. You let people be themselves, especially around you. And I feel like you've always just been a good inspiration with your family, with your creativity. So it's always, you've been an amazing example as a big sister, which is hard because it's weird because I don't really call you my big sister that is weird. I don't.
Twins. We're twins.
Yeah, like I don't ever like say my big sister. Like it's weird because I feel very equal with her. And we've always been very, very close. And same with my other sisters. Like I feel like every relationship's different, but in a good way. And Katie is also my other best friend, and Jessie. Katie's always been the person I can just shoot the breeze with, and it's amazing. Like I love my big sisters. And then Jessie, she's just this calming presence. It's kind of like Lindsay, like I don't have to there's no expectation there of being anything other than myself. And then obviously our mom had a huge hand in how we all are. And she was an amazing example to us and how to love other people. And I think she, you know, I don't know. I don't know what she did right, but she did something right.
Did, yes.
I think one word that everyone would describe me is like a beautiful disaster, because I am a disaster as far as it's like the creativity in me. I'm not even sure how it gets to that point, but Emily is
like a bomb goes off.
It's like, but we all accept each other without condition. Yeah. And that's really what a family, anyone you love, and anyone can be your family. I call it your found family. So I am meeting people. That's one thing about the cross stitch community. I have found family through this community.
Yes.
I have found relationships that will last
forever,
my entire lifetime. And it's having those relationships where there is no expectation, where it's just love without condition, and it's just acceptance, and it's being there for one another, and it's giving and receiving. And we all in our family, we all do that. And that's why the dynamic works. And I challenge people all the time on our channel, reach out to a friend, reach out to someone in the community. You will never know if that's going to be a lifelong friend.
Yeah.
And so it's all about doing different things and changing your scenery and changing what you're doing every day and going out of your box.
Yeah, I agree. I've made amazing friends. So
yeah, this community is pretty amazing. I think cross stitchers are a different type of person. I don't know, a different type of, it's hard to describe, but I don't know, when you meet another cross stitcher, they're so giving and they're so open and not judgmental. And it's a different community than I've seen with the other communities. There's just something about cross stitchers. I don't know. I don't know. Something in our brain.
I think it's like compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with having compassion. And usually I think it's because they were not given compassion themselves. And so my goal every time I am in front of the Flosstube, I want to share my compassion, and I want each person watching feel like I want them to feel the love I have for each person without expectation. And that's really giving people grace and compassion and empathy, and knowing everyone is on their own journey, their own timeline of life, and they're going through different things. And when we start to judge, or we start to say, oh, well, why are they doing that? That's not for us to know. We just need to have compassion and grace, just like we want compassion and grace.
Yeah, I love that. This is turning into a very inspirational and supportive video that I hope that people receive the message. I think that you're giving. I'm sure that they will. It's just turning out to be amazing. So thank you. Yeah, we still got a few more questions.
We're ready.
We're going to get back into stitchy talk for just a little bit. The next question is, how do you prefer to stitch? Do you use like a hoop, Q-snap, in hand, that kind of thing?
I am a hoop stitcher, always have been. I feel like it creates tension. I feel like my tension is all over the place if I don't have a hoop or a Q-snap. I haven't ventured into the Q-snap, but I know Katie and Emily have.
I haven't.
You haven't. Katie has. No. But also do what works for you. And that's what I tell everyone. Just because the works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for someone else. And being comfortable in the way you're stitching. So
Yeah.
hoop for
Yeah, mine's the hoop. I was using like the tension, but I recently started using the Nerge. Nerge, I don't know if that's right, but I really like it. I've really liked having the square. It's like I really like it. I'm definitely sold on the square. So I think I would like a Q snap. I just haven't invested in one yet.
Well, the Nourish hoop has been really popular lately on Flosstube. I think the shape is the same because I'm a Q snap person, but the Nourish is a lot thinner. It's basically the thinness of a hoop, so it might be easier for some people to hold because the Q snap for me, it's bigger, so I have to use like a stand in order to do it. So that might be. I might have to try the Nourish. Let's see.
Yeah, get the small. I got the 3-pack. And the other two I'll probably never use because they're huge. And I'm like, I should have just got the one. So if anyone wants to get one, I recommend getting the small. I believe it's just called the small one.
So do y'all have a favorite place that you've traveled to? And did you bring any stitching along when you went?
So this year, my favorite place has been Florida. I just really loved everything about Florida. In fact, anyone that's watching from Florida, you guys are so lucky. I'm ready to move to Florida. And I have a hard time taking my stitching on vacation.
Yeah.
Because I am I need my stitchy chair. I need my lamp. I need my drink. I need my pattern here. I need my floss laid out. I am all over the place. Like I take up the whole couch and it drives everyone crazy, but I need all that space. And so when we were at the retreat, what I picked to stitch, because we went to every single table and we stitched with the ladies. And I took a piece that I didn't need my pattern because I could just do it from mind. And it was only 2 colors. So it was very simple. So if I have to take something, like if I'm doing a retreat or stitching with friends, it's got to be a simple, not counting craziness, color changing. It's got to be a simple because I have squirrel brain and it does not work for me.
I agree. I would agree. Florida was amazing and I am ready to move as well. And I stitched on my hive rolls at the retreat that we went to. And I feel like for me, it has to be like a higher count. So like 20, I was 25. I have learned my lesson, and Lindsay knows several times. I cannot do linen, period, really, especially with other people around, or like 32 count. Like I've learned my lesson. I have to do like the 25, 27 count in order to stitch in public because I can see better. I don't have to focus. And I had no problem stitching hive rolls. I actually, like Lindsay said, I have that memory now with that piece because I didn't quite finish it, but I pretty much finished it at the retreat. And I love that piece is associated with Florida now.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm not a big linen person, so I don't, I
can't. It's hard. It's so hard. And it's okay. I kind of just have learned that, like I said, my joy, it takes away the joy to try and do it. And that's okay that I'm not there. And so I'm going to stitch what I enjoy, which is like 32 and up. Like
you got to stitch on what you like because one, stitching kind of is your job now. And so if you're forcing yourself to do your job on something that you don't like, it's going to make it miserable. So I get it. For sure.
Well, too. It's kind of what Emily was saying earlier about keeping up with the Joneses. Well, that's just stilling your joy of what you're doing. And so
I've tried it a lot, the linen, and I'm like, nope.
If you're an stitcher, awesome. If you're a linen stitcher, awesome. If you're a Lugana, awesome. Do what makes you happy. And also, one thing that I am constantly thinking when I am publishing patterns is making it the least frustrating for the maker as possible. So like with the North Pole piece, the pattern booklet, I had a vision of that. I'm like, this has to be so easy. And so I don't want anyone to be frustrated because this is a big piece.
Yeah.
And when I am designing, when I am actually formatting the pattern, because I do all of that, I have you in mind, because you're the one buying this piece. And if you're going to be frustrated and you're not going to, you're not going to have that joy because it's like a constant frustration. Oh, this is too small. I can't see this. Yeah. Or I'm flipping the page and I can't tell where it's supposed to meet up, which is my biggest, like, I can't do. And so creating without frustration is where it's at.
It's a hobby for most people and you want to enjoy it, basically.
Yeah.
Got it. So what can you not do without for your stitching? Like your favorite go-to must-have besides our basics that we need?
I would say a good light.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a basic, but that and my favorite needle is a tulip needle. I've tried other ones, but I keep going back to that one. Those are my two. I can't stitch without those two things.
This might shock people, but my hair clip. I use a hair clip to bunch up my cloth. And it's funny, people ask me all the time, where'd you get that notion? And I'm like, it's a hair clip from TJ Maxx. And I only use that one. Like, I don't use it in my hair. It's only my cross stitch clips because I don't want like product or anything on my cross stitch, obviously. So I have like this hair clip that's a flower, and I constantly get asked what that is. And I'm like, I can't live without my hair clip. Like, that's how I clip it. I don't use like, what are those Wonder Clips? A lot of people use Wonder Clips. I just use a hair clip.
Well, yeah, because you're using the hoop, so if there's extra fabric instead
of...
So
I roll it up,
yeah,
flip it on top.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. So, how do you decide on what you're going to work on next or what you're going to design next?
I never know. It just has to be like an aha moment for me. Especially designing. I can't force it. I can't be like, oh, I need to do a Christmas chart. The moment I say I need to do a Christmas chart, I start designing Halloween. I don't know what's wrong, but it's like the moment I put that out in the universe, I'm like, nope, it's got to be Halloween.
You don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Yep. That's funny.
I like to stitch in the season that I'm in. So
me too.
I'm doing I feel like this year though, I've been very much into the stitchy charts that like represent cross stitch. So I've been really loving that. I do have like my Sabbath stitch. So Sunday I've stitched on my Sabbath, but that's really the only thing I've put like as far as a schedule on myself or anything. But I just kind of grab what calls to me that day. I am not a planner in a lot of things. I plan certain things like traveling. I plan, like, I'm always like, Lindsay's the one that's just like, who do I got to pay? I'm the one planning. I do that for everyone. I booked a trip yesterday with my other best friend. I was like, she couldn't like do it. So I was like, I'll do it. But cross stitch, I don't ever have a plan. I just literally, I have my basket and I grab what calls to me. So
yeah, that tends to be, I think, a common answer with a lot of stitchers too. There's not very many that have, a schedule,
a calendar.
Yeah, there's a handful that are like strict planners and have their, their certain rotations and stuff. But for the most part, it's whatever calls to us basically. So, yeah. So we're down to the last question. This has been amazing. But before we get to the last question, which is my favorite one, I was just curious if there was something that y'all wanted to share that not very many people knew about you.
Emily, you go first.
I don't know if this is something that people don't know about me, but I like to organize. It's like this weird satisfaction. Like I like organizing. I like cleaning, which I think people do know that about me. I was one of those friends growing up that I'd go to my friend's house and start cleaning. Like I was weird like that. I feel like Hannah is like that. She got that from me. Like like I'm one of those people that would be like, I'll show up and I'll just start cleaning. It makes me twitch if I don't. I'm like, I gotta clean.
Yeah, you totally. Well, like the other day, my dresser, you kind of cleared that off for me. It was wonderful.
I did.
So for me, as a kid, my dream was to be a pastry chef.
Yes.
And this last Christmas,
I
went all out and I almost went back to my childhood, and we baked every day and we created masterpieces, and it was so delightful. And I have a hard time following recipes. Like I like to do my own thing, just like creating. It's the same thing in the kitchen. I create through intuition. I'm very intuitive. I like to follow my intuition. And that was my dream, was to become a pastry chef. And just bringing that back into my life has really, in fact, Emily was like, when are we baking again? The other day.
I said that like 2 days ago.
I've been craving, baking, and that's just one more way of creating, and so
we're a good team. So like she and her daughter Avery, we all three of us just baked. And it was like her and Avery did all the mixing and preparing and cooking, and I'm the little cleaner. Like I'm their little sweeper behind them, which I don't care. Like I love that. And it was so fun. I loved this last Christmas because we've just baked all day. And that's what we grew up doing, that with our mom. We would make every kind of treat, dessert, candy, and have a huge plate and give it to all our neighbors, all of our coworkers or friends. And it was like, we always, every Christmas, gave this amazing platter of goodies. So it's totally like 20 different type of goodies in one plate. Like we would make batches and batches. So that definitely took me back. And that's something we got from our mom. So.
And it just goes back to, I think the thing that I love most about it too is actually giving.
Yeah.
When you are truly giving to give, not out of what you're getting back, it makes all the difference. Next time you have a thought, oh, I should give this, or I should do this, do it. Don't think about, oh, what am I going to get in return? Just do it.
It's a great piece of advice right there. We need more of that, I think, in the world right now.
Yes.
For sure.
Because it's always, I think we have a hard time, like me, what's going to benefit me
or serve me,
right? But when we let go of the self and we give, we can also receive.
Yeah.
If we're always holding on to everything and not giving anything, how are we going to receive in return?
Yeah.
That is almost a good way to end it, but we have one more question. But I love that. It's like food for thought, basically.
Yeah.
Love it. So this is my favorite question, and I always leave it to the end because it just, I mean, this whole interview has been positive anyways, but it leaves the interview with just a positive kind of message. And it's, what's the best thing that has happened to you within the past couple of years? Because it's been rough.
Yeah.
I it has been a very, very rough few years for me, as far as I've had a lot of medical issues. But the best thing that has happened to me is loving myself, really unconditionally loving myself and giving myself grace. Because when we truly love ourselves without condition, we can also love other people without condition. Yeah. And in the last probably 6 months, this lesson has been on my mind every single day, of just being authentic to myself, and in doing so, creating that ripple effect in others. So just knowing myself, understanding myself, knowing what makes me tick, what makes me thrive, what gives me peace and joy. And it's a journey, and it's something you're going to work on every day. Yeah. There's not an end to this journey. So
yes, I think for me, I definitely, and I've talked to Lindsay about this, like Florida, it kind of reset my brain in the sense of I was in the moment a lot, like especially at the retreat. It was fun to be in the moment with other people, but also going to the beach. We like did the retreat and then we had a beach vacation, and just we went to the Everglades, and I love nature. The Everglades was like the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. We did a riverboat. I don't know what it was called, the airboat tour. And I have never in my entire life lived in a moment so beautiful. Like it was, and I captured it, and I was in tears because of the birds and the Everglades. Like it was gorgeous. And that was probably one of my most favorite memory. Like it's a core memory, and it really helped me flip from thinking and worrying about the past or stressing about the future. I was just there in that moment, and that like definitely changed my mindset a lot. So
to touch on that, I had the same thing, because when you're truly in the moment, you're not worried about anything. You don't have this thing in your hand. You're not trying to think about everything. You're just there, and there is no worrying, because like she said, we're in the past. We have a lot of like anger and resentment. And if we're in the future, it's anxiety and what's going to happen and what's going to happen. But if we're truly here, if we're truly in the moment, if we're truly like right now, I have all of my attention on you. Yeah. And you, all of your attention on me. Nothing else is coming in. And so you're truly living presently.
Yeah.
I love that. That is actually a good way to end the interview, living in the moment, because there's times where we go to concerts, right? Well, when I was younger and you went to a concert, I didn't really have a cell phone that I could sit there and take pictures and record said concert. So you were in the moment and you were enjoying it. Now you go and there's phones and, they're recording, there's, Snapchatting or whatever they're doing, and they're not really in the moment. They're trying to record the moment, and so, just the example of that, with you in the Everglades, you were feeling it because you were, aware of your surroundings, and that kind of
it was beautiful. It was like Where the Crawdads Sing. Like I felt like I was in that book. Like I was like, this is incredible. Like
just to be more in the moment, I think is great advice for a lot of people for the mindset. So I have no words. Thank you both so very much. One, for taking time out of your days because you're both working to do this, but two, I mean, you've helped me. You've helped me more than you know. And I'm sure after people watch this interview, you've probably helped very many people. You're so inspiring. You're so creative. I am blessed to be able to have talked to both of you. You're incredible. So I think what this interview is actually going to go up on Mother's Day. It'll go up a little bit earlier just because Mother's Day is on a Sunday. And I think this would be an absolutely amazing gift to put up a little bit early so that, it's just a gift to everybody on Mother's Day. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of my 100th interview and for being so inspirational and for making me cry.
Thank you for the opportunity. You're creating a space for this conversation to happen. And that is a gift in itself. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be your 100th guest, 100th Flosstuber, and it's been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we'll say bye to everybody on Flosstube.
Bye.